Have you ever wondered how a typewriter
Can help you be a better climber? Stick around and find out. Excuse you.
burpage?
I have to get my
What are you
goober
doing?
out. I don't even know I was being a cat.
What is wrong with you?
The
I
list
wi-
is too long, my friend.
I'm not gonna lie. I really do wish some of the stupid things we do was planned so that we could argue as like, oh, this is just us trying to be funny. No, we're just
I'm
this
just
stupid.
dumb.
Oh my god. Okay, maybe we actually get started.
This is why you hang out with me, though. And scene.
I'm embarrassed on your behalf right now. Naise and Jingles here with Be a Better Climber.
Hi.
We're going to talk today about shifting and standing. But before we do that, I wanted to say thank you to Bliss here in Wichita for allowing us to film here and to really do what we want to do, which is teach and bring everybody some information to help everybody becomes a better climber. Today's episode is about shift and stand, and what it is in practicality is an exercise that allows you to implement what we learned in our first video of how to actually use your toes to get used to doing the movement.
Exactly.
It is an exercise that I will tell you most people hate and do not enjoy doing because it's really difficult. It's not difficult to understand the concept. It's difficult to implement it. We'll talk about that in a minute. But
the concept is what we were practicing on the box.
Yes, the pulling and shifting over.
Yeah.
So we're going to show you what the shift and stand looks like when it's being done, hopefully correctly. And we're going to show you some things that people do when they are cheating or trying to find an easier way through it. Because like I said, it is a difficult exercise. So people just will naturally find a way to not do the exercise. The first thing you want to pay attention to when you start doing this exercise is actually placing your toes where you want them to. Just like we talked about the first episode, you look at your foot, you put it where you want it, and then you get ready to dig in because we're going to do a lot of pulling. So you have to learn really to trust your toes.
Exactly. It's the exercise we went over where I was touching his nose and being a goober on that. The idea, dig in with the toe so you can pull your weight over. And if you notice, I lift my heel when I do that, because when you are pulling with your toe, you lift your heel. So when you're watching this, you want to make sure that your heel is parallel to the ground or raised. When your heel starts dipping below, you can't pull as well. So pay attention to what your heel's doing. We're going to go a lot more in depth into heel positioning later.
Especially a little bit later, and especially because I know a bunch of people are immediately going to say, sometimes your heels down is a good thing. I'm like, yes, your heel being down can be useful. Your heels being parallel with the ground can be useful. But the point of paying attention to what your heel is doing for this exercise is specifically to see whether or not you're actually doing the movement and pulling with it. And a heel is a great indicator on whether or not you're doing it correctly.
Exactly. So we're focusing on lower body, right? And so what is it that you've said 50,000-ish times?
One of my favorite phrases is that your hands will keep you on the wall, your feet will get you up. And the biggest argument I always hear is like, how can you climb without your arms and that kind of thing? And I'm like, well, you're going to use your arms. But the point of the exercise is to learn how to let your feet do the work. You can do however many pull-ups you think you can do. Most people generally top out around 15. So if you're doing 15 pull-ups and you've got 45 more feet to do, well, then you're toast.
It's just not enough.
What we're going to figure out is our hands are going to basically be pivot points or things that just keep you stable while you're allowing your legs to do the movement. And that's the point of that particular exercise.
Yeah, and your legs should be moving like a typewriter, okay? So they straight line over and then lift you up. Straight line over and lift you up. It's hard because essentially you're just doing pistol squats
all day.
All day.
Every single move, if you're doing this exercise correctly, is a pistol squat with your right leg, pistol squat with your left leg, and back and forth. And it's just an exhausting thing to do. So there's no real...
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to see why everybody wants to skip this particular exercise and why everybody wants to find an easier way to do it.
And it's hard. It is a hard exercise, which is why we always say easy routes, okay? I've generally gone with 5'8" or under. 5, 6, there's no problem practicing this on that. The other thing to keep in mind is at your home gym, you might not have a lot of routes that do this, which is what we want you to do climbing. Use whatever you want. This exercise isn't about sending, it's about conditioning your body and learning how to move your body so you can send the harder stuff easier.
And we're going to talk about practicing versus sending or climbing or projecting. Some of that'll be done later, but you really need to focus on doing the thing today so that you can get used to actually learning how to pull the body the right way.
Absolutely. And also, I think it's time that we actually climb stuff. You want to go get shoes?
I want to get some shoes on.
Let's go get some shoes and climb stuff.
All right, so Jingles is going to climb, and I'm going to either talk through what I think he's doing well, or I'll have him come down if he's doing something that I don't think is the best way it could have been done. One of the things I do is I know he's in particular going to try to climb this route, and he's going to climb the laddery route we have, our 5-5 here, and he's going to try to stick with just that one route. Occasionally something is set up to the point where shift and stand is not appropriate. I will allow that, and I'll probably tell you when that is something that he does, if it's not perfect the way I would want to do it if I was coaching somebody. So he's going to climb it. Sometimes I'll let him skip through something if I think it's okay, but for the most part, I'm pretty strict on the way it needs to be done. So if I see something that's good, I'll try to point it out. Something that's bad, I'll also point that out and have him do it over again. Because we all trying to find a way to not do this exercise. No matter how long we've been climbing, we're still this is not always fun.
Yeah, this isn't how you climb; it's how you learn how to.
Yes,
Is literally what it is. Can I climb now?
So I want you to demonstrate shift and stand. Really focus on placing those toes and really focus on the hips, moving back and forth and up and around. Okay, try not to arc if you can help it, which we'll talk about later. But try not to arc. Typewriter up and over, over and up, whichever one you want to do. Yep. Okay.
I think I got it.
Gimme.
Oh,
All right. Good toe placement. See how his hips arced over. We're going to shift over and stand up. Yep. He's going to shift and stand. That was really good. Pull and stand. Yep. So you should really watch what his hips are doing. They should move all the way left or right and then up. That was a little bit much of an arc.
What?
That was a little bit much of an arc. I just want to see if I can get you to do it another way. So come on down and try that one more time. It was. I'm being very picky.
Be quick.
Shift and then up. There we go. Yes.
Thank you.
Hips move over and up. That's what we're looking for. See how his heel went up as he stood up? Even if he can just reach something, you notice how when he does move his body over, he makes his hips or his feet do the work of the movement left and right, even if he could just reach it. And that is the point. That's what you want to do. You want the toes to do the work. I think he might be over-exaggerating his heel up to get the pull, but that is kind of the thing. There we go. Notice how when he's going up as well that his arms, there we go. I was just about to comment how your arms weren't doing the pulling, and then you pulled. One more, pull all the way over and stand up. There we go. Come on down. So hopefully what we saw when he was doing that one was that his hips did shift left and right before going up. There were some spots where it wasn't the case, but that's also because some of the holds are not evenly spaced, so it's a little awkward to do that. You notice at the end, I hope it was on there, that he started to engage his shoulder to pull up as opposed to let his foot do it, and he came back down and did it again and had his arm extended. One of the important things on this is really focusing on what your shoulders are doing, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later, but you want to make sure your shoulders stay engaged throughout the movement. You don't want to have them disengaged. Okay, so that's something else. Okay?
Yeah.
Not bad.
That felt good.
Not bad. My turn.
All right, so now Naise gets to climb the route. So the reason that we're doing this, the way that we are doing this, is we have height differences, okay? So Naise is 5'3" with a +1 ape index. I'm 5'10" with a +3 ape index. So we look drastically different when we're doing shift and stand. He does pretty good. He's also been doing this like 20 some odd years longer than I have. So we're not going to focus too much on that. But we are going to focus on Naise getting his feet on the wall. And the idea here, yet again, if I see him do something I don't like, I'm going to call him out on it. So now I'm going to focus on him. That's a good shift, stand. You can see he is definitely focusing on doing the pistol squat, but he's getting this done properly. And he's going typewriter hipped over and then straight up. You notice he's not using his upper body that much, but he did get a little bit of his right arm engaged right there, which is totally fine. Not exactly what we want, but sometimes it's how you work it when you're doing shift and stand. And again, shift and up. Paying attention to the feet, keeping the heel above the toes. That was a bit of upper body, but yet again, this is a hard exercise. What are you not liking?
I didn't like the fact that I could have put my foot so that it was a little bit less shouldery.
Okay. His mic isn't on, so you couldn't hear that. He didn't put his foot there where it is right now, and so it was a more shouldery move. So he's actually correcting himself. And that was good. Good. You notice toes are set up for pulling. That's what we want. We want the pull and the shift while we are climbing these routes. And then big move. Ish. That's it. Should be good there. Yep. Okay, so you guys can see, same route, same climbing exercise, looked entirely different. But we reached the same goal. Go team.
Oh, I gotta turn this on. Okay. One of the things that I felt throughout there, and I don't know if you said it because I wasn't paying attention.
That's fine.
At one point, I came back down and did something again. I specifically did that because I felt my shoulder was doing way too much. And I knew that because I had another foot that I could have used just to stabilize. And again, the whole point, what I was trying to do was trying to make sure that my shoulders were not doing some things. There were some spots where my arm was nice and tight because that's where the hand was, and I stood up through this thing. That was fine. I thought that was okay because I couldn't help it.
And you're not using your shoulder to complete the move. You're using your shoulder to stabilize a move.
Right.
Which is absolutely acceptable.
And that's the goal of what we're trying to get you guys to do. So we showed you at least what we tried to do is a good one. And then now we're going to show you some ways people cheat.
Yeah.
Cheaters.
I'm good at it.
We're going to catch them.
Hopefully.
We're going to catch all the cheaters.
Not all of them. You don't have to worry about your ex. All right, so now we're going to have Naise show you guys what we don't want to see when you do it. Seen? Yeah. So the idea here, these are the ways that people cheat through shift and stand. And so Naise is going to do some climbing for us. Wrong. He's popping his way through. You see how the tension went off of the auto belay and how he's pushing off of his bottom foot? That's not helping shift and stand. Okay? See how there? It's entirely the upper body. Yet again, not what we want. You get tired faster and you don't learn how to use shift and stand. So both things we don't want to see in practice. And what do we have here? Okay, we have arc of the hip. Typewriters don't arc. Typewriters don't move circular. So we don't want to do that. That's up. So now he's probably going to go down and arc under. Yet again, that uses your upper body, not your lower body, which is what we're trying to focus on. Then, so that we get good things in the camera, I think he's going to twist for us a little bit, which we're not going to go over twisting in this video. That's the next one. We want open hips, which means that you never get sideways. You always stay square to the wall. And now he fell because he did everything wrong, like he was supposed to. Was that fun?
No.
Okay, not fun.
So now you're going to watch Jingles and I climb the same route. I want you to focus on a few things while watching this. You may have to watch it a couple times. I want you to focus on the way that I move versus the way that Jingles is moving. The way that I move is a really good example of how to use or implement shift and stand on a route that is not specifically designed to do shift and stand as an exercise. You'll notice that I look mildly uncomfortable or stiff and just I look off balance, like I'm really struggling to find my balance point, which is what shift and stand, when you implement that on a route, is going to look like by itself. If you're trying to isolate one part of your body to do 95% of the move and your hands are just sort of overcompensating, just kind of holding yourself on there while you're trying to figure out how to do the exercise, this is what it's going to look like. A little weird, a little awkward, a little uncomfortable, but you'll notice that the hips move in a perpendicular to the fashion to the floor. They move over and then they go up, so a good 90-degree angle. That's what you're looking for when you're trying to do a shift and stand exercise. And you got to remember, shift and stand is not an exercise. Sorry, it's not designed to climb a route well, something that feels comfortable. It is an exercise designed to teach you how to be precise with your feet, place them correctly, and then learn how to pull your body with that foot so that you can build that confidence, so that this is an exercise that just really forces your lower body to learn how to do what you want it to do. So it's going to be awkward. It's going to be a little weird. And when you watch Jingles climb his route, he looks fairly comfortable. He looks almost like his body is swinging around, almost pendulating around his arms. And that is because he's using both feet. He's using one to push, one to pull. He's fairly relaxed. He's not trying to necessarily find his balance point, because when you use both legs, it's pretty easy to use that arcing motion to keep a balance point all the way through. So go back and watch the video and see if you can also pick out the different things that I see and the way we want you to learn how to do this exercise versus the way we see a lot of people will cheat through it. So good luck picking that out. Should be fun.
I'm loaded proper, and I'm locked. Belay is on. Climb on. Shift and stand. That was a little of an exaggeration, but I'll allow it. Now you notice he pushed his weight over. He didn't shift his weight over. Now he shifted. That was a pull. You notice his heel came up. We've got pulling the way it should be. This rope is weird. Good shift, good pull. So now he doesn't really need to shift, but he's going to do it because he's a good guy like that. Now he's going to get a different placement, keep his hips open, and shift his body over. Okay? Aggressive. He kind of arced on that one. I'm not going to call him on it, though, because I don't think, because of his height, he would be able to do it as a straight shift. I think that one's always going to arc with him. That was a pretty good shift. I liked that. That one requires no shift, but it does require building feet. Then we get the shift and the stand. You notice he's keeping his shoulders engaged through his movement. He's keeping open hips, and he's keeping most of his weight over whatever foot he is trying to stand up on. And now he's trying to figure out what to do. Yet again, you can't shift and stand every single move when you're climbing an established route. What? You can't shift and stand every move on a route unless it was set up for shift and stand. And most routes aren't. Every move is not set as a shift and stand. You're gonna have to work with what you got best you can. Gotcha.
That had some actually pretty good shift and stand moments.
It did. It had a lot of really good ones. It also had a couple like.
It's like, yeah, I had to like readjust my feet a few times to bring them up to get into a position to try and shift and stand.
There was
and then
about the third bolt, I think, second, third bolt, you totally arced. And I was like,
I was trying to pop off that foot so I didn't have to just go.
But I also made the comment, I was like, you notice because of Naise's height, he had to pop to make that move. If you're taller, it's probably not going to be as drastic of a pop if it is one, or arch if it is one.
You're probably right, because I did feel that, but I was like, I don't know if I could do this exercise better.
You couldn't, but I did. I'm going to pause it. Stop.
No. It's a good one to have it. No, it's a good one to talk through.
I think it's a good one. Okay.
Because it worked. There was, there was a spot too that asked me to lay back more. I mean, did you notice the smear walk that I had to do to get my foot up towards the end? There wasn't another option to do a shift and stand. At least not with my height. I bet you will be able to get your foot up and then do it.
I'll do okay. But it's like it's one of those things where, yet again, I even said it in the video. I'm like, unless a route was set with the idea of shift and stand for every move, it's not going to be perfect.
No, it's freaking hard.
You're not going to be able to do it.
Honestly, unless the route is basically a ladder or meant to feel like a ladder, you're not going to be able to do a consistent right shift and stand, left shift and stand, right shift and stand, because that's just not how movement in general works.
No, it just doesn't work.
But a lot of routes, especially in the easier range, you could do a right shift and stand, switch your feet, right shift and stand, and work through there. It doesn't have to just be right, left, right, left, right, left.
No, not even a little bit.
But ladder style routes are the best one to learn how to use. And did you also notice that there were some times that I had to, like, building my feet up is one thing, but there was another time where I think I had to match my feet in order to move them to a different position. There were other times too where it was just like, well, I don't have anything to shift and stand on. It's just sort of I have to just stand and reach.
Yeah.
But I still tried not to let my arms do the movement. I had to engage my shoulders a lot and hold myself in place, because like I start off here and then I stand all the way up and I'm right through here. I'm like, well, my shoulders are definitely going to be engaged through that moving, especially if I want my feet to do the work. I mean, if I wanted to not use my feet, my hips will fall out, which is something we're going to talk about. Did we talk about the hips falling out and how that's a sign of it being bad?
No, we didn't.
I'll talk about it while you're on the wall then, for your time.
Mention that my hips are super close because I'm super duper good at this.
Well, when you're doing shift and stand in particular, since your hips are open, your hips being out away from the wall don't necessarily encourage that upward motion. If it does, then your shoulders engage a lot more as you go away from the wall. Yeah. So having your hips in almost requires your arms to bend as you're going through. So,
yeah. Before the review of this video, I need to explain to you guys what a perch is, because I do it a lot. It's when you shift your weight over and you kind of sit on your foot, and it allows you to take a short rest and then move on. Hey guys, we got another comparison video for you of Naise and I doing shift and stand. You will notice Naise does a lot better on shift and stand in this video than I do. You notice right off the bat, he does a beautiful shift and stand, and I do a lot more perch and stand throughout this route. And you can notice it straight from the start, right here. I just shift my weight over and perch on my foot, which is where you kind of sit on your foot. It's really good to help with rest. I do a decent shift and stand right there, followed by another decent shift and stand, kind of poppy, but not horrible. Not something I would call somebody on. And then I just don't like what the route wants me to do and where it wants me to go. And so I do some awkward foot movement. And then a decent shift and stand, but I do, yet again, more perching. Right here is just like a stand. It's just an awkward stand for me for some reason. You can notice though right here, I ended up starting to climb the route more intuitively and less intentional. See, there was a foot I could have used to build as opposed to doing a pop and stand like I did. Then we got another pop and stand followed up right there. This is an aggressive perch and stand, which yet again, it uses implements of shift and stand, but it's not what we're trying to exercise. It's not the exercise that we're trying to do. We get another perch and stand. Very, very nice perch and stand, I will say. But you notice Naise is climbing way more balanced and way more intentional. I ended up climbing in very much of a flow state through this video. And then decent shift and stand here, but I do kind of pop through it. I do perch a little bit on it. I get confused on where I'm supposed to go and how I'm supposed to actually pull this off. So this is yet again why it's great to have somebody climbing with you, somebody who can call you out on what you're doing and why you're doing it wrong. I think that was a decent shift and stand, but I did pop my foot through it, so you can tell I was using it as a balance point. I wasn't focusing on the singular movement of shifting and standing. And then do a nice little stand up through here, and then Naise does call me out because I pushed with my flag foot. I pushed with my foot that was just kind of on the wall. And so he made me do it again, and I think it was a little bit better. Not as good as it should be. Do a decent perch and stand on that one. And climb through. But you notice Naise is climbing significantly more balanced. And I think that's because what this route calls for the way you climb. A lot of it was high feet for me, which is hard to shift onto. A lot of it just didn't feel right for me too because of idiosyncrasies that I've developed because I haven't been practicing this as much as I should be.
So the biggest thing that I want to talk about when it comes to shift and stand is, again, acknowledging how difficult the exercise is to force yourself to do.
Absolutely. It is, quite frankly, one of the harder things to learn. It's awkward.
Every single time we try to teach somebody this particular thing, they always comment about how much it sucks and how much this is not how I climb. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Nobody naturally climbs like that, but nobody naturally runs like an Olympic athlete either. You know,
No, you got
to learn the proper ways to move to be able to use your body better.
Yeah, and that brings me to the again, the main point that I actually want to talk about is practicing climbing and how I hate is the right word. I hate the fact that when I watch coaching in general, it doesn't have to be online coaching, it can be in-person coaching as well. It's that we have, I'm going to include myself in this because I did the same mistakes. And I'm certainly not going to try and say that I'm better than everybody else because that is not the case. But I've watched and seen and participated in classes where you have somebody try something once, twice, let's say 10 times, just to be generous. You have somebody try something 10 times, and then you stop. Like, you don't go out of your way to implement
You don't do it
what
again.
it is you're actually teaching. So if you're teaching like a fundamental, like just watching your toe to the hold, for example, you might spend 5 minutes on it and practice the beginning. It was, hey, remember, I want you to watch your toes to the hold. You watch toes to the hold, and then you never mention it again, even though you watch the person climb, and then they immediately put the ball of their foot on there when they're going and they're doing something that they think is difficult or hard, or when they have to focus on something other than what you asked them to do.
Absolutely. The other thing is like, there's an old phrase that I absolutely hate. Practice makes perfect. And it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it perfect. I'm a much bigger fan that practice breeds improvement. And I think the fundamentals are the biggest things that you need to practice, regardless of what sport you're doing or what you're trying to get better at. If you watch interviews with, like, uh, elite athletes doing anything, if they talk about another athlete that's good, they're like, he has great fundamentals. And
Yeah.
we're talking about literally like Michael Jordan and LeBron James. And they'll talk about the other one, and it's like, oh, his fundamentals are great. Dude can do a 360 dunk, and they're not talking about that. They're talking about his fundamentals.
Yeah, one of the best things that I've ever heard about coaching and learning a thing is, it was actually from a shooting instructor I had one time, and they were talking about the fundamentals in general. And then they made a comment that has stuck with me, and I use it all the time. It's like, if you want to do something, it takes you, I'm going to make up a number, 100 times of doing it the right way to learn how to do it, to make it something that is a habit and no longer something that you're consciously focusing on.
Yeah, it's instinctual.
Trigger pull, for example, is a good one. You have to focus on your trigger pull in order to make it something that you're not slapping all the time.
Well,
if you gun enthusiasts, you'll understand what that one
yeah,
means.
you're not pulling it to the side either way and offsetting.
But the next part of that was, he asked, how many of you have been shooting before and have developed a bad habit? So when you talk about practice makes perfect, well, yes, practice makes perfect if you're practicing the perfect thing.
But that's the thing. You can practice wrong. That's why practice doesn't make perfect.
Yeah, so
practice breeds improvement.
You can improve it getting... perfected this horrible thing, this habit that you have.
You can improve it getting worse.
Yes.
Everybody can improve it getting worse. But that's why practice doesn't make perfect. It breeds improvement.
And it's one of the things with climbers in general that I don't see them actually doing. Climbers don't practice.
They climb.
We go and we climb. Like, we might warm up. So if I wanted to go get on, I don't know, that blue thing over there, which was pissing me off the other day. If I wanted to get on that thing, if I wanted to warm up for that, then I'd go get on X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal is this. But while I'm doing X, Y, and Z to warm up, I'm not focusing on the fundamentals. If nothing else, I'm more or less just in the rote movement of getting up the wall.
And a lot of times, even when you're doing that, when you're warming up, you're like, all right, this is like, super shouldery route or whatever. So you're going to make sure that you exaggerate what you're doing with your shoulder to make sure your shoulder's warmed up for that hard move that could injure you. And it's a good idea to do to an extent.
Yeah, but that's also only one move. But on how many more feet do you have to climb?
Exactly. And so that's why you need to warm up with the fundamentals every time. Every time.
So when people complain, and when I complain about how difficult I find this exercise to be, because it's a very simple concept. You move left and you go up. You move right, you go up. You're using the upper foot, the higher of the 2 feet, to do the pulling. So they'll go over and then up, and then go over and then up. It's very, very simple. But there's also so many ways that you can cheat your way through, or you can find an easier way to do it, or you can justify even mentally in your head, I can just do this, and then
it's like, it's not a big deal. It's just one move. It's always just one move each time.
And then you
do it 50 times.
Moves.
You do it 50 times in a row. It was still just one move every time you did it.
And as far what I mean? Yeah, and as far as an efficiency standpoint, when you're climbing and you're doing that, and it's just one move, just one move, just one move, and now you've got 10 extra moves on you, and you're not even at maybe the crux of the route yet. So instead of using your feet appropriately to save energy throughout the thing, now you've wasted. If you only have 100% in the tank, and that's all you got, because 100% is everything. If all you have is 100%, and you waste it 1% at a time the way through there, and you need, let's say you've tested the move 10 times, and each time you're like, I need at least 70% of my power to do this one move, and you're already down to 80 by the time you get there.
You only have 10% to finish the route. Is that enough to finish a route?
Especially if you're projecting at something. So energy efficiency
important.
Is dependent upon how you move, and this is one of the most basic concepts of how to use your body correctly. And if you can master this one, the other ones will be a lot easier.
It'll just start flowing through when you get to the other things.
So we did
what
have specific topics we wanted to cover, but
we
the
did,
conversation itself is not scripted,
and
except for that part. I put that in.
except the things that are on the script is what he wanted to say, but he read it wrong.
Oh, so
Yeah.
one of the things that I do like about shift
Oh
and stand
yeah.
too is that it forces you to learn how to trust your toes.
Absolutely. The other thing is you can scale it. Okay, so like if you notice, hey, I'm actually pulling, well, you can just use these 3 fingers or these 2 fingers or just your thumb, depending on how you're climbing. If you're on a roof, that's not going to work very well.
Oh, you're talking about
But like you
using
can
less hand
use less
movement.
hands so that you can't pull with your hand, and that's going to do a few different things. One, if you're just using 1 finger to pull yourself through movements, you're going to be working out that finger, but you're also going to be forcing your lower body to do the effort because you can't pull as hard with 1 finger compared to all of them.
So that gets a
You
little
know,
bit further along than I wanted to talk about
yeah.
scaling this particular exercise.
Did I jump
But
ahead?
we can talk about it now. It's
I'm
fine.
good at jumping
It
ahead.
works. So that particular exercise
Yeah.
of using, say, less hands, less arms, or even physically less fingers, less hand on a hole, so that you're forcing your feet to do that movement. You can do the same thing potentially on harder routes or using less of the hand in order to focus on, let's say you're training pockets, for example.
Yeah.
You can just climb using your pocket fingers or your other pocket fingers or your other pocket fingers or
Or
whatever
your
it
other
is.
pocket finger.
It's a weird.
Probably not.
I'll use that one. I'm trying to think about reaching
Dude.
up high and then pulling up with that. That's just
Dude, I
that's
have
awkward.
done a pocket Gaston with my thumb.
Yeah,
It
but
was
that's an underclaim.
super
What if
cool.
you have to reach
Touche.
up and then you grab it and you
Touche.
pull? That's
My bad.
no, it just seems weird.
Dude,
I'm physically trying to figure out how that's gonna work, and it's just odd.
I've climbed a route with just my thumbs.
I don't want to
It
use
was
that.
dumb. It sucked, but I did it. Anyways.
So yeah, it teaches you to
Yeah.
trust your feet, because if you're placing your toe correctly and you're not using your arms to pull, then as basic as
You
it
have
sounds,
to-
now
you
the
have
only
to.
thing you have left is your toe to stand on. So
You
it
don't
teaches
have
you to
another
learn
option.
them.
Absolutely.
So it's a great way just to learn how to trust your toes for when you get them the smaller feet. And I'll tell you right now, when you've got bad feet, it is hard to learn how to pull. That's why you start on the easy stuff, and then you graduate your way up to those
Yeah.
smaller and the horrible feet, or the ones that aren't there anymore, where you do have to rely on your hands. But now you have the energy to do it because you're using
Because you
your feet
used
earlier.
your feet
So,
before.
yay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ow.
You okay?
know,
You dying?
I have a new tattoo on my leg, and I'm sitting on it, and it hurts.
Nice.
I'm just whiny.
Okay, be whiny. Some other time.
It also teaches you how to use your lower body better. And I know we've already. I don't want to harp on that too much, but especially if you're just starting out, it's a great way to learn how to use your lower body and just be like, okay, I can stand on my foot. I don't have to be on the ball of my foot. I don't have to trust my hands. But when you are climbing for a while, and maybe you're having trouble grabbing those smaller holds, taking a step back sometimes,
and
using the bigger stuff, and developing that muscle memory so that you remember how to grab things again, or how much not to grab. Sometimes it's just that you're just putting it on.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to just get the weight on it and get the balance. Feet can also be a balance point of, it's not necessarily something I'm pulling with, but it's something I'm going to use to keep me from twisting out or slipping down. It'll, I don't know how I want to say that.
It's a great, I think, because it brought me to this other thing. It's a good way to learn how to keep pressure through your feet, which we're going to talk about at a different time.
Even if you don't use it.
Even if you're not using it to do the movement, you can use it to keep the body stable, and and that happens by having those multiple points of contact.
It's like you called me out on that black route. You pushed with the smear. I didn't. I had pressure into it as a balance point. I didn't push.
Right.
But it looked like I'm pushing.
Yes.
It's more of no, this is just to keep me comfortable in my move.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how you guys should. It's how picky I think you should be with your climbing partner or yourself when you're doing this kind of exercise.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't let things slide, even if you're the one looking at it and you're wrong. The only thing you're doing is the exercise. You're making them do the exercise again. Okay, so now I have one more rep.
Who cares?
Okay.
And it's not like, yet again, we're not talking about working shift and stand on your project. So it's not like it matters that you didn't get the clean send or any of that other stuff you want. There's practice. Don't tell you your buddy's working a project. Don't be like, hey, I didn't like that move. Come back, try it again. You know, that's just kind of a dick move. It's funny sometimes.
Well, a lot.
What?
It's funny a lot.
It's funny a lot, but sometimes.
What is the difference
Yeah.
between? Oh,
I mean, you
I thought we
see
did a good job of trying to
just
show the differences between like taller and shorter climbers when we were doing this type of thing.
yeah,
Higher feet, I have found when you're trying to do this, is a little bit more strenuous. It's a higher feet does allow for you to potentially what I'll call perch
yeah.
and shift over your foot
I
easier,
I do that a lot.
but it doesn't necessarily encourage you to learn how to pull the body into the perch, what
Mhm.
I call the perch
Well, the
position.
perch, getting into the perch position is a lot of shoulders. It really is.
Yeah, because you're using your shoulders to
But
stabilize the
it's
movement while you're balancing over the higher foot.
exactly, and it's something that it's like I think I do really well at doing that. But I generally, when I do that, I'll shift over and then take a rest, and that's why I use it as an excuse of like, oh no, it's okay to do it because I take a rest right after.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm just lying to myself or if it actually helps or what, but yeah, higher feet is definitely more perchy than shifty.
So when you're doing this exercise, I would recommend that people try to find ways to do smaller foot movements. And that does a couple things. It'll teach you how to learn how to build your feet better. It'll stop encouraging you to try and climb tall if you don't need to. Climbing
Yeah.
tall is its own thing, climbing short is its own thing, building your feet is its own thing, but this is one of those stepping stones where you learn how to bring your feet up before you start pulling up with your arms to do all your movement.
Yes.
So I think it's a great way to learn how to do that building and to learn how to get into the position without having to pull your way through, which I
Yeah,
really like.
absolutely. I fully agree with you on that. We can not worry
One of
about
the things that I don't want to spend much time because honestly, I'm getting ready to have to leave in a minute, but
lame.
we can always come back to the
We
conversation
can
if
come
we
back
need
to
to.
it.
But
It's the
when we're talking about locking off with shift and stand,
it happens a lot.
yes,
It's not necessarily a problem as long as
you're
you're
not.
putting the feet the your weight into your feet.
Yes,
The lock off is a balance position. We're going to go back to these keep you on the wall. You know, your hands keep you on the wall. When you're in the locked off position, that's to just keep you there, keep your hips in, keep your body balanced and controlled,
so
so
you're
that
not.
you can have weight in your feet and in your legs.
So when you're watching, so we talked about shoulders engaging last episode just a little bit. We're going to spend maybe an entire episode on
We might
shoulders at
spend
one
a
point,
long time on it.
but you should notice on a bunch of the routes that we were playing on and the movements we were doing that a lot of times our shoulders are engaged and we're sort of holding ourselves in. But again, if you go back and you really look at it, the feet should have been the thing that did the move. And I hope that that's what we illustrated and demonstrated with there.
It looked like it to me.
Um, so I guess to kind of recap some of the bad things to look for or to feel for,
Uh,
because that's when we coach this, we try to do it in groups of at least two. I like to do groups of four. And I like to do that because I want not only for you to be able to feel what it is I'm asking you to do,
I want you to see it.
I want you to be able to see it in the other person so you can point it out. Because over the years of climbing, I've noticed that some people, their advice is, well, you just have to pull up and grab, which is because that's what they see and what they understand. And then other people will say, oh, well, you need to build your feet up. Well, or maybe they'll be even more specific than that. They'll say something like, oh, well, your hips fell off, or your shoulders gave out halfway through, or your
Mhm.
foot slipped off because you weren't thinking about that anymore. They'll be able to dial in exactly what you didn't do because they know how the body's supposed to move.
Yeah.
So some people see it really well, and some people just, I mean, without making fun of them, they see Mongo grab pull, you didn't pull and grab, and that's
Yeah.
fine. That some people, I mean, different strengths for different people.
Different strokes, different folks.
So people see things differently, but the more you can learn how to see it, and the more you can learn how to feel it, the better,
Yeah.
the faster you will get better at doing the thing.
Absolutely, without question. And yeah, just remember, try not to pop off your back foot.
Yep.
Try not to just do pull-ups.
Yeah.
Climb easy to learn. You don't have to be climbing 10D to get better. You can get better on 5.6s, 5.8s,
Climb,
5.9s.
climbing harder.
It'll build muscle a little
How
bit.
do I phrase this right? Climbing harder does not necessarily equate to climbing better.
Yes.
And that is the difference that we're trying to hammer home. Better is more appropriate for the long haul. If you want to climb for 40, 50, 60 years, then you're going to have to learn how to climb efficiently and you're going to have to climb well.
Mm.
If you want to climb super, super strong, you don't have to climb well. You can just be
Yeah.
really strong.
Exactly. And you always see strong people come into a gym and start, knocking down V7s, V10s, few months in. And it's nothing wrong with
Few
that.
months. Holy crap, that is a fast progression.
Oh, there's a dude here that's doing it.
I know. I saw him, but I was like, that is a fast
It's a fast progression. Those people do exist. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's amazing, and I'm jealous.
I don't like those people.
But
I don't do that.
You can also climb better and then not get injured, because a lot of times that's what you see happen.
Yeah.
Not all. It's not a universal that it's going to happen if you're strong. Okay, just keep that in mind.
Well,
yeah, I think that's about it. I think we
did most of the stuff that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, you can go do your thing. I'm gonna take a nap, and
Sleepy
I think
time.
I'm actually gonna climb. I'm gonna try and get my Boulder Bro on.
I'm gonna go get a massage. Thanks, Janelle at Needed Healing. Shout out.
All about the shout outs. All right. You don't have too much fun with it.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
This is Naise and Jingles at Be a Better Climber. You can find us on Instagram at Be a Better Climber. You can find us at YouTube at
Be a Better Climber.
Be a Better Climber?
Be a Better Climber.
Better Climber?
I'm pretty sure it's Be a Better Climber.
Crap, I need to learn our stuff so that I
Be
can say it
correctly.
I might.
Dude, a lot of people say that they can't find our YouTube, so maybe I'm saying it wrong.
I think YouTube is Better Climber, and I think Instagram is Be a Better Climber.
We'll figure it out.
One of these days we'll learn. Until then, it's just going to be us doing. I have no idea what we're just saying.
But it's so much fun. Okay, bye.
Bye, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You ever wondered how fuck.
Have you ever wondered how a fuck?
Yes.
I wondered that all the time. Ask my ex.
Okay. I mean, I'm generally squattier and thicker than thickier. Thickier is a great word that I'm never going to use again.
I'm going to use it twice. So now, Naise is going to do, hopefully, an amazing job of being wrong.
I do that anyway.
He's really good at it. Ask his wife.
Most of the work, right?
Help you out a little bit.
Help.
I need somebody.
Help. I really feel bad that went into people's ear holes.
I do and I don't.
So I'm a little thicker and squattier than he's
pretty scrawny.
Scrawny and lanky, which is actually what most climbers are. You're really long and strong as shit. Oh, sorry. Did I say that? Did I compliment you? I'm taking that back. I'm taking it back with your strongness.
Where's the next?
You are going out of your way to climb it as opposed to be a really good shift and stander. There we go. That was beautiful.
Thanks, I've been working out.
That one was.
Turn the mic off.
Okay. Belay's on. Don't fuck up.
I will.
Don't fuck up.
Instead, we just got to deal with super cool right here.
Oh, maybe I'll just hold on to this thing right here.
Just hold it.
Yeah.
It just made me think of the video where this lady had that mic and she's just like, would you like a treat? And she goes to a dog and the dog's like, and she's like, would you like a treat? And the dog's like,
yes.
It's a good video.
I haven't seen it.
It's adorable.
I also don't want to see it because you have described it for me and I don't want to ever see it again in my head.
So well. So let's do this.
So we were. I think we just wanted to talk
We were
about
just
shift
gonna,
and stand
yeah.
and some
Well,
of the like pros and cons and things we see and things that we don't. Is that right?
yeah.
Type of thing?
That's
Okay.
kind of the idea.
We're just gonna just use
We're just
words back and forth.
yeah, we're just gonna have a conversation
I don't
about our experiences of falling.
a lot.
Yeah.
Some of them hurt.
Yeah. That blue.
I went to the bathroom and I specifically made mine flash to turn off so you because I thought you were going to turn it on to listen to me go to the bathroom.
Honestly, that would have been hilarious.
I thought you were going to turn it on so you could hear me tinkle. Hey there, Naise and Jingles with Be a Better Climber.
Hi guys.
Start over because I fucked that up. I went Naise
Junior.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the big
Yeah, the big tufa.
tufa. Yeah,
Big tufa pinch
Tufa. I
jug.
couldn't
Yeah,
think
that
of the
one
name
was
of
not
it.
bad.
I wanted to say loofah, and I knew that wasn't right
We're not showering yet.
yet. That's
for
the next
later.
video.
Can't wait to see that one.
I can.
I roll.
I can wait. That's gonna be in the blooper reel for sure.
Your faces.
My face is always in the blooper reel.
Let's do this. Stop talking, you dumb bastard.
Okay.